Scott, I can't control my mic. I'm ready. If you're ready, I just need a mic. Okay, I got a mic now. All right. I'm going to call to order the council meeting on November 22nd, 2022 at 7:30 p.m. The first thing on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Alder Allen.
Present.
Alder Radafrada.
Here.
Alder Gerhardt.
She's not here. She's excused. She's on vacation.
Thank you. Alder Hertz.
Here.
Alder Maldonado.
Here.
Mayor Richardson.
Here.
Alder Strassman.
Here.
Alder Udell.
Here.
Alder Wheeler.
Here.
You have a quorum, Mayor.
All right, thank you. First up is a proclamation proclaiming November 26, 2022 as Small Business Saturday in Fitchburg. And I have a proclamation to read. And we do have Dan from Bricks and Minifigs here as well to represent our small business community. You can stand up here with me. All right. So whereas the Common Council of Fitchburg, Wisconsin celebrates our local small businesses and the contributions they make to our local economy and community, according to the United States Small Business Administration, there are currently 32.5 million small businesses in the United States, representing 99.7% of all businesses with employees in the United States, and are responsible for 64% of net new jobs created over the past 20 years. And whereas small businesses employ over 49% of all businesses with employees in the United States, and whereas 89% of all consumers in the United States agree that small businesses contribute positively to the local community by supplying jobs and generating tax revenues, and whereas 87% of consumers in the United States agree that small businesses are critical to the overall economic health of the United States, and whereas 93% of consumers in the United States agree that it is important for people to support the small businesses that they value in their community, and whereas the city of Fitchburg, Wisconsin supports our local businesses that create jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our neighborhoods, and whereas advocacy groups as well as public and private organizations across the country have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday. Now therefore, I, Aaron Richardson, Mayor of the city of Fitchburg, Wisconsin, do hereby proclaim November 26, 2022 as Small Business Saturday, and urge the residents of our community and communities across the country to support small businesses and merchants on Small Business Saturday and throughout the year. And would you like to tell us a little bit about your business? There's some people watching. There's not a lot of people here, but there are a lot of people online. So I know it's probably a busy season for you.
Yeah, we're a small business in the Hatchery Hill Mall. We buy, sell, and trade new and used Lego, and we have a wonderful stock, and we are thrilled to be in the city of Fitchburg. Oh, we're open noon to 6 every day.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And we're going to take a couple of photos, I think, here, and I can give you.
Can I ask why did you locate in Fitchburg?
Oh, here's
So the question was, why did I locate in Fitchburg? There are a couple of answers. First off, the central location for the city of Madison and the surrounding community is fantastic. It's extremely easy to tell people how to get here, for instance. Secondly, about 8 years ago when we were investigating where to locate the business, we found that working with the city of Fitchburg was smooth and easy and just a really great experience. Thank you.
All right. Oh, yeah, we should. We'll hold this too. Here, why don't you hold this? Sure. Got one more.
Sorry, Chad. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for being here. All right, moving along to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Jay, seconded by Julia. Anything that anyone wants to separate out and do separately? Seeing nothing, we can go ahead and vote. All in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. That is approved, and we can go to the administrator's report.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you're all doing well on this Thanksgiving week. A few items of note. Burby Derby is Thanksgiving morning. According to their website, it is the 19th annual Burby Derby. Hard to believe that we're closing in on 20 years. It does look like the weather is going to be good, so hopefully the attendance will be up this year. Two projects, or one project and one other update I'd like to provide to the council. On the project side of things, just a brief update on the status of Hub Phase 1. Parks, planning, and engineering staff are continuing to work with our design firm on this project, and they're working to finalize the design concept and plan to align with the approved budget by council for this particular project. And we anticipate that they'll begin drafting the construction documents that will be necessary to begin bidding that project starting next month. So hopefully after the new year, we'll be able to be looking at bidding this particular project out. Feel free to let me know if you have any questions on that particular project at this point, or, can feel free to reach out after the meeting also. And then finally, in regards to polling locations and voting, I first want to congratulate and thank Tracy Oldenburg and the entire team here at the city clerk's office, as well as all of our poll and election workers. We had 79.9% voter turnout for the election in November 8th, which obviously led to some long lines at least a couple of our polling locations. Tracy and I will be taking a look at the volume at all of our polling locations and see what, if any, adjustments should be recommended to council in regards to either ward adjustments potentially, and or polling location adjustments, and or potentially additional polling locations being considered for adding into the city. We would not be recommending any changes prior to the April 2023 election. We'd like to keep everyone voting in the same location as they just voted to. But we would look to make any recommended changes after that April election, so that those changes can be considered by council, and any changes that would be approved by council, staff can look to implement in advance of the elections in 2024. If anybody has any questions on that topic, again, feel free to reach out to me and let me know what I may be able to provide for additional information. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Julia, question?
What about the Fitchburg Star?
There's a meeting with the Star next week. I had put that in an administrative update last Friday to council, amongst a few other updates. So I'll look to brief the council on the status of that meeting or outcome of that conversation.
Joe?
I want to echo my thanks to the staff for, and also the poll workers for their diligent work. Tracy, what was the breakdown by district in terms of percentage? Like voter turnout percentage?
Oh, you're on mute.
I'm sorry, I don't have that right in front of me, Joe. It is on our results page on our website, and I can certainly email you that information.
Okay.
Seeing nothing else, we can keep going to the Plan Commission. Randy?
The first item is a motion to postpone certified survey map CS-2482-22 by William Clemens, agent for Homeville, Fitchburg, LLC, to create a new certified survey map to replat one existing lot to create no new lots in order to develop the property with a 4-story, 173-unit multifamily development on property located off Index Road.
Second.
Seconded by Jay. And did Plan Commission also postpone then?
The Plan Commission postponed until February.
All right. And then would you like to speak to this?
Well, I can, but since Ned is here, maybe we ought to let him.
I don't know, Ned, if you want to speak to it. I know you're here to answer questions for sure. We can speak to it as well if you'd like.
Yeah.
It's up to you.
I'm happy to do it either way. We have agreed with the staff as well as the Plan Commission that it made sense to defer the consideration and the finalization of the CSM until certain final adjustments could be done rather than leaving extra complexity on the CSM. Basically, we're simplifying an existing plat with a lot of old easements on it to have a clear new lot after dedications of Index Road and removal of certain easements, and deferring to February just made for a better quality output.
And if I remember correctly, it's not going to delay any of the work that you're doing. We can do this without delaying
Right.
your project.
Yeah, correct.
All right. Any questions, Jay?
All I wanted to say is I met with Ned last week, and we, because I had some concerns about tree removal, and we talked about some changes they made to preserve the trees as much as possible. So I was coming here ready to vote in favor of this. So I'll just have to wait till February.
All right. Anything else? All right. All in favor of postponing, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, nay? All right. That's postponed. Next one.
All right, motion to approve ordinance 2022-0-42, RZ-2481-22, zoning ordinance amendment, granting specific implementation plan zoning for William Clemens, agent for Homeville, Fitchburg, LLC, to rezone property from PD-GIP to PD-SIP in order to construct a four-story, 173-unit, multi-unit family development on property located off of Index Road.
Second.
Sent by Jay. The Plan Commission approve?
Plan Commission approved.
All right. So this one you can approve, Jay.
Yay.
And Ned, do you want to speak to this piece at all?
Certainly, and as Jay indicated, the only substantive change between the GIP version approved by the City Council previously and this version is that we did redesign our stormwater infrastructure facilities on the site. And in the process, we were able to identify a number of more mature trees along the southern boundary and some in the northwest corner where we will have a dog run. And we were able to retain those trees by rearranging and redesigning slightly. That also allowed us to pick up a couple of extra parking spaces because we eliminated a small basin in the northwest corner. So the building is substantively the same as the GIP. The primary changes, thank you for the impetus, Jay, were these tree retentions and redesigns. And we look forward to having another project in this North Fish Hatchery corridor.
All right. Any further questions at all? Julia, go ahead.
So since, can we refer the first item to tree committee since there are some tree issues there, or no, it's too late?
It's too late at this point.
Okay, because
And-
since it's moving to February,
Well, and the CSM doesn't necessarily
No, okay,
have to do with the tree. It'd be more this one here. And we did make some changes because of the
okay.
trees. Yeah.
Since we are moving to February, so.
That's the first part, the CSM. But that's not, the CSM doesn't necessarily have to do with the building itself and what is built. This one here does. Anything else? All right, then all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay. All right, that is approved. Thank you, Ned.
Thank you all. Have a good Thanksgiving.
You too. All right, next one, Randy.
Motion to approve resolution R-217-22, PP-248022, approving preliminary plat request, PP-2480-22, by Phil Sviam, agent for Fitchburg Lands LLC, to approve a preliminary plat to replat outlots to create 297 parcels, including 278 buildable lots on property associated with Terra Vesa off Lacey Road.
Second.
Sent by Jay. Did Park Commission approve?
Yes, we approve.
Did Plan Commission approve?
Plan Commission approved.
All right, and what's this one about?
This is the property it's creating the third revision to the Terra Vista preliminary plat. Plan Commission and Council in 2021 approved the last revision. I think what's really doing is revising some of the lot sizes to be a little larger, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's they changed the sizes of some lots. Some lots were pretty small,
Yeah.
but it's also kind of the next phase. And the first
Correct.
couple phases have gone really well and very quick. And so there's a lot of demand out there. And so this is getting that next phase ready to have people start building lots on it. But yeah, I know Phil said that there are some lots that end up being pretty small, and so they wanted to adjust those a little bit so they would be a little more reasonable.
Correct.
Building on.
Yeah.
Jay?
Yeah, so in looking at this, it looked like there were still going to be some zero lot line duplexes or townhouses like they have now.
Yeah.
In addition to some standalone single families. So that sounds like a good mix. Was this going to include any multifamily buildings? Because some of these larger lots, it's hard to tell what the plan is.
Yeah, I believe that some of them are multifamily.
Yeah, but I think the focus was more the townhomes and so forth. Yeah, the greater focus.
2-unit, 4-unit,
Right.
not necessarily 180 unit.
Yes, correct.
Any other questions? I know there's a lot of demand in the city for this, so that's good. All right, we can go ahead and vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, nay? That is approved. Before I go to Public Works, I know that we do have one of our fine members of the police department here for a couple of items. So if we could move those up, I'm sure he would appreciate that. The first one, if someone could move up the finance number 1A to
Sir,
now.
so moved.
Moved by Jay,
Second.
seconded by Randy. All in favor of moving the finance resolution 1A to now, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay. All right. Would you like to do a motion, Randy?
Yes, motion to approve resolution R-209-22, purchase of police department fleet vehicle.
Second.
Seconded by Jay. Did finance approve?
Finance approved.
All right. And would you like to tell us what's going on?
Absolutely, thank you. This is just an update from the 2021 purchase of the hybrid vehicle for our administrative vehicles. We were notified that by Ewald Automotive that Ford is probably not going to make this vehicle for us due to the extreme backlog on hybrid vehicles. So we thought it prudent to move forward with a traditional gas-powered vehicle to replace that hybrid.
All right. Any questions at all for Jay?
Yeah, this is a really good vehicle. I own one of these, and it's very reliable. So I think it's a good choice for the department. I just want to know how I can get on this deal, because mine cost a lot more than this 2 years ago.
Yes, the state contract bidding prices are significantly cheaper.
Anyone else? All right. All in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, nay. All right. That one's approved. Now, would someone move to or amend the agenda to put direct referral number 2 to now on the agenda?
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Randy, seconded by Jay. All in favor of amending the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, nay. All right, that is changed. And Randy, do you want to do this one?
Yes. Motion to approve resolution R-214-22, purchase of squad equipment.
Second.
Seconded by Jay. Did finance approve?
Finance approved.
And would you like to update on this?
Sure, these purchases of squad equipment are to outfit 3 patrol squads, 1 being a replacement and 2 being the new squads that we received this year for the Town of Madison attachment.
All right. Any questions at all? Dave?
It's for the Town of Madison attachment. It's for the 2 squads that we got approved for because we were taking on the Town of Madison.
Any other questions at all?
Yeah, the only question I had is when we have these things come in the future, if we could just get a detailed list of the stuff we're buying. I know there's stuff like light bars and sirens and, docks for the computers and stuff, but I've been accustomed to seeing a list of what the actual things are that we're getting.
Sure. All of those were turned into the finance department.
I'm sure they were.
Right.
Steve keeps a tight leash on that, but it's nice to see it. Yeah. Any other questions? All right, we can go ahead and vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, nay? All right, that is approved. Anything else you want us to do right now? No? All right. Thank you. All right, back to the regular agenda. Public Works, anything, Dave?
Just one thing, I think many of you around the city have seen, there's still bags of leaves on the street, and Pelletieri has made us aware that they are behind. Don't lose hope. I believe they'll still be coming around to pick those up. The only thing that would prevent that, I suppose, is a big blizzard or something like that. But they are still planning to get around and get that last pickup done.
All right, thank you. Park Commission.
I move approval of resolution R-203-22, approval of reclassifying of Stoner Prairie Park from neighborhood park to an area park.
Second.
Sent by Jay. Did Park Commission approve?
Yes.
Did Finance approve?
Finance approved.
And do you want to tell us what this is?
I can start, and then Scott is online, so he can go to the details. So this one is, we are building a new park on the north of Stoner Prairie, and then there was a misunderstanding of what type of park is this. It was a neighborhood park or an area park. So there was a confusion because it was never established what type of park. So we decided to do this resolution to clarify that this one is a area park because it's gonna serve not only the neighborhood but a couple of other neighborhoods around. So I don't know, Scott, did I miss anything? Do you want to add something else?
No, I think that's fine. Certainly, I can ask any questions, but typically the uses of an area park are a little bit wider than a neighborhood park, and this area does provide some additional team activities and area type activities.
Jay.
Scott, is it the plan for the size of this park to expand? Because it currently shows it as 6.6 acres, which puts it into the size range of what our neighborhood parks are.
Well, and actually, if you combine the current Stoner Prairie along with the additional Stoner Prairie Park, it is about 10 acres. So it is about right in that range, Jay. Which certainly is one of the criteria to the classification, but certainly the use of the area that helps determine what is the best park classification for the facility.
Jay.
I also just want to add for council's information that typically you wouldn't necessarily see a park designation action item come before you, but because of the conflict between the developer agreement, which identified this as a area park, and the city's park and open space plan, which identified it as a neighborhood park, staff felt that it would be best to bring this to council just to clarify the intended designation of the park.
Just one other question. Since this is going to be more or less across the street from the Edgewood facility, are we expecting a lot of interaction between the two?
I would say we don't know. I mean, I don't think we anticipate it, but it's possible. But until we see what how Edgewood uses that facility, and what they might see for value in that park, we don't know.
I wouldn't think so, but you never know. Anything else? All right, then we can go ahead and vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, nay. All right, that's approved. Next one, Julia.
I move approval of resolution R-212-22, authorizing the city attorney to petition the Dane County Circuit Court to vacate parkland dedication of Lot 20 on the second addition to Fitchburg Research Park in the city of Fitchburg.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Randy. Did Park Commission approve?
Yes.
Did Plan Commission approve?
Plan Commission approved.
Did Public Safety approve? Public Safety tabled. Tabled, all right. And do you want to speak to this, Julia?
Yeah, so this one is, and Scott is here too. So this one is, this is authorizing the city attorney to petition if we can vacate the lot 20 that is in the corner in front of the library, Fish Hatchery and, what is, a Lazy, that corner. So, so now is considered to be a parkland dedication, but then the city would like to use that parcel to build the safety building. So we need to do this process to to ask the Dane County Circuit to vacate this parkland, to remove this parcel from the park system, so we can use it as for other purpose. So if you read in the packet, in 2014, there was a space need analysis and project building program that it was done to determine how we're going to build the police building. It's going to be like a standalone building or expansion of the city campus here. But they decided that one of the options was to build this building as a standalone building. So this is what parcel will be a good location for that building. So, but we need to ask permission first to vacate. So this is what we are doing now.
And I think it's important. It's not like we're using the entire grassy space for the facility.
Yeah, I know.
It's just a little bit up on the corner, and the rest will still be, let's think it's like Oak Savannah essentially right now. And there's I don't know if it's a stream, it's really more stormwater that goes through it, and that will be there. So it's really just kind of on the corner across the street from the library to do this. G?
Yeah, I have a memory that goes back a long way on this particular parcel. And I think this is premature. First of all, I'm not even slightly convinced that this is the best location for a public safety building. I think it is too far south, given the areas of the city where most of the needs are. I have issues with the whole way this notion of a civic campus area has been developed. It is what we have now, but I'm not sure this is the best location. And then I remember back when this was dedicated as parkland, the reason it was dedicated as parkland is because we were told it was unbuildable because it's too low. There's too much flooding. There's too many issues with the water table in this location. So before we have the city attorney spend a bunch of time working on this, I would prefer that we have some other work done to figure out if this is even a buildable lot, because we haven't even gotten there yet. So until that happens, I don't see any reason to change the classification of it, especially since it's going to take some significant work on the part of the city attorney, who already has enough work to do, as we've talked about many times over the last few months.
Any other questions at all? Comments?
So in public safety, our decision was to table this indefinitely, which is what I would prefer to do right now. And if we decide we want to come back to it, we can take it off the table and vote on it. But before we do that, I want to have our Public Works Department or somebody in engineering look at this lot and just see if anything can actually be done here.
Chad?
So I've been in consultation with the engineering department. They are familiar with the fact that the city has a desire to locate the public safety or police facility there, and no one from engineering has expressed any concern about that particular lot as being completely unbuildable. Could there be site challenges? Sure. I mean, we don't know that until we start getting into it. And I would respectfully ask that if you want us to do further evaluation on the site, that happen concurrently with the process as it relates to the vacation of the dedicating the parkland. If it takes, for instance, 3 to 6 months to potentially have a hearing in front of a judge, if by chance that lot is determined to be unbuildable, in the areas that front the roadway, we can always withdraw the petition.
Julia?
I have a question for Chad. So in order to start the design for the public safety building, we need to wait until this, if we are considered serious, this lot for the building. So we need to wait at least this lot is vacant, So we have to, how we are going to, because now I remember that we are going to start with the design of the police station or start working on that. So how is going to affect that?
So I think we can, to be honest, we don't anticipate any problems from Circuit Court in vacating the parkland. This parkland was not dedicated as part of the city's traditional parkland dedication. It was dedicated and zoned parkland as the best way to identify it, is what the information that our city planner has been able to uncover. We also have met with Promega to talk about the plans that we have for that particular parcel, and they are supportive of that parcel containing the police station. Obviously, they have architectural design authority for anything that's built on the campus here, and they would likely be involved significantly in the design approval of the particular facility. And as the mayor mentioned, much like the library is situated high and tight there on the corner, I would envision that a police facility would be situated similarly in order to preserve any stormwater and or open space, as much open space as possible. So to answer your question a bit more directly, Alder, I think the city is able to begin the process of planning. They could, the police department and engineering could begin to work on the RFP that would begin to allow the design firms to submit bids. And as we wait to see the timeline on the vacation of the parkland status, we can always delay awarding of the bid, or if there's some sort of issue that comes up that is unforeseen, then we can obviously pivot from there. But if everyone will recall, this process was slated to begin earlier this year. The design money had been funded by the council for 2023 for a variety of reasons. We've in effect already lost a year, so I would hate to continue to delay it any further. And ultimately, as we begin this process too, it's a conversation I need to have with Mayor Richardson, but we certainly would be looking to have a committee created that would involve members of this body as well as members of the community in the planning and design of this facility as well.
Dave?
And no disrespect to our engineering department, but no one, that worked there when that predates anyone there, with the exception of Paul Woodard, who's here, temporarily helping us out. And, so, the issues with that, as Jay identified, I recall those too. That is my concern too. I don't want to go down this road. I'm not 100%, certain that we can build on that site. So that's my reservation. I don't know if we want to ask Paul if he remembers anything about that. He's got a memory like an elephant.
I have had conversation with both Paul and Tracy Foss, who has also been with the city over 20 years. And no one, in fact, I actually had a conversation with Paul today about working on the RFP or assisting with that. And throughout that entire conversation, Paul never once mentioned that he felt like this lot was unbuildable.
Okay.
And I think part of the design, this is a first step. I think part of the design is also checking to make sure that this is buildable. They do testing and making sure that it is okay. And if there are issue concerns that come up, then at that point, they'll have to come back and say, no, you can't do it here. You got to find a different location. And I think part of the desire to keep this is the cost down as much as possible, is that this is land that the city owns, and you'll have to buy land somewhere else or try to get land somewhere else as well. Jay?
Well, yeah, that's what's always thrown out. You just mimicked what's always thrown out there. That's why the library is sitting on that corner. And that library is in the wrong location. Now, the first proposal was to put the library on the lot that we're talking about right now. That was the first location that was chosen because it was believed that it couldn't fit in its current location, and then it ended up going to a 2-story building. So, I mean, first of all, let me state what I said a little more strongly. I think this corner is the wrong location to put a public safety building. I am all in support of building that building, but this is absolutely the wrong location. And the reasons are many. One of them is that we have an urban development boundary that is just a half a mile up the road. So why we would put our public safety building at near one of the farthest edges of where our service area is makes no sense to me. It should be located in an area where we have more stuff going on, where we have more activity. And that's where I think, I don't have a location in mind, but I'm sure we can find one. So I don't know how, I don't understand as Jim would say, I don't understand the process of how it was determined that that's going to be the site. I don't remember that discussion in the last 2 years, and maybe it happened, maybe it didn't. If it happened in 2014, I think that's a long freaking time ago and needs to be reevaluated because that's just not the right spot.
I would say, Chad, and you can correct me here, but I don't believe that the police department feels like that's a problem to be in that location. And can you speak a little bit to the location? Because I believe at one point I heard that the building doesn't necessarily matter as much as it used to because the car itself ends up being a mobile office for the police department, for the officers. I don't know if you could speak to those things.
Yeah, sure. So there was an ad hoc committee that was put together after the space needs analysis had been done. I think Mayor Arnold was in office at that point in time and had put together the committee. I think Alder Arata was a member of that particular committee. And I'll keep it brief, but that committee did take a look at the potential options of an addition or building basically next to City Hall here on campus, looking at a standalone facility that could potentially be added on to in the future across the street. And we also examined the idea of district stations at that point in time. And ultimately, for a variety of reasons, that committee selected the standalone location across the street as its preferred location. One of the other contributing factors to that is the central location. Obviously, I recognize that there is an ongoing conversation about the lack of public transportation to City Hall and the associated campus. However, the central location is ideal from a response standpoint for those members of the department who might be responding from the department. And as Mayor Richardson had mentioned, over time, we have placed a lot of technology into the police cars so that they, in effect, are mobile offices for our police officers. They can do a lot of work through the computers that are in there, the remote dictation software that's in there, as well as the cell phones and those sorts of things. So obviously the ideal is to have our police officers out into the community for a variety of reasons. One, to be familiar with the community, and to be present and visible, and to also minimize response time.
Go ahead, Jay.
Well, Chad, again, with all due respect, while we look at a map of Fitchburg and say this is a central point in Fitchburg, when you look at population density, it is not a central point by any possible definition of the term. It is off to the periphery. And I think that ultimately we're going to have more than one public safety building, as we've had to have with additional fire stations that we've built. So I think I just think it makes more sense to revisit those issues before we go about spending city attorney time to petition the court to change the land designation when, first of all, we don't know if it's buildable, and second of all, we don't know that that's the best location. And it would take pretty significant information to convince me that that's the correct location. I don't see how that can possibly be the best location. And yes, you're right. They're out in the police officers are out in the cars, and they've got a lot of resources with them in the cars. But there's also times when you have to transport somebody back for interrogation or to a holding cell or whatever, and that all takes time. And part of what we try to do, at least what I was always told, what we try to do in public safety is to minimize the response times, minimize the times that we have to actually be driving. And so I think there's a lot more information that I need in order to start talking about reclassifying that piece of property.
Anyone else? All right.
So with that, Mr. Mayor, I would move to table this indefinitely, and we can come back to it if it's determined that it's going to be needed. I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to vote it down because it might be something that we want to look at in the future, but I think we need more information before doing that.
All right, that's a motion. Is there a second? Hearing none, then that is not going to, we're not going to go forward with that. All right. Julia, question? Yeah.
Yeah, so, following what Jay said about, the location, my question is, do you know we have any records in the past that we did any analysis of that parcel? Anything in writing to determine,
I'm not aware of any.
when they were building when they did the library, they didn't do any, survey or anything of the lot?
I'm not
No?
aware of anything
Okay.
at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, one of the things I want to mention when I was part of that ad hoc committee, even though the committee decided to build a standalone building, my personal opinion at that time was to do an expansion of this city hall with the police building on the north part. So, but it wasn't, that one was another option, but it was not accepted. I don't believe that we should have like a standalone building. I think we can do like a continuation and expansion of this building to the north. And maybe eventually, I don't know who owns the other parcel on the north here. I think it's Promega, but it's, we need to buy we need to sell, but yeah, no, I don't know. I want to be sure that we, like Jay mentioned, he knows more about this because he has been here longer about if that lot is buildable or not. You know what I mean? So that's it.
Dave?
What are the ramifications? We approve this, we go through with it, and they find it's not suitable. What is the status of this land then? Do we have to, there are going to be some hurdles we got to jump through again?
No, I'd say if anything, that just verifies that it should only be parkland, and so that if they ever want to build another, fire station, they're not going to try and go there or any other city building. We know for sure that we can't build there, which is good information to have, I think, to know that, anyone who wants to build something in the city, that's not an option. I think that's valuable information to have.
It would still be city-owned land, obviously, so the city would control the rights to it, so to speak.
So my only concern, Jay, if we delay this, we are delaying the building, the construction of the building too, because we need to make a decision this year where to build and start building, because we have been postponing this building for, I don't know, more than 10 years. So that one is my only concern. If we decide, we are going to table this and wait, and then, we are putting on hold everything that is already coming in motion through, the stuff is working. So I don't know.
Jay?
Well, you're right, but you're also wrong, because I still am not convinced that this is the right location. I know we had this study done in 2008, or we had some committee that looked at it, but I just don't see how this could possibly be the right location unless the only factor you're looking at is building it on existing city-owned land. And if that's the only factor, well, the city doesn't have a lot of vacant land sitting around, so maybe that is the only consideration that matters. but I think we should be looking at a broader picture here than that.
All right, I'm not seeing anything else.
I just have one.
Oh, Dave, go ahead.
You know, we're not here tonight to determine where the police building is going to go. You know, we're voting on this, but I do have a question for Chad. You know, we have a court here. Would people that have been detained there be brought to the court, or are they always going downtown? You know, I'm just looking at synergies.
So the court that's held here, Alder, is just for municipal violations.
Okay.
So typically, folks are not taken into custody for municipal violations. Any in-custody situation would ultimately likely lead to a misdemeanor or felony charge, and that would be handled through Dane County Court downtown.
Thank you.
All right, I think we're done discussing, so we can go ahead and vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay.
No.
All right, I believe the ayes have it, and we can keep going. More from Park Commission, Julia?
No.
All right. What about Library Board?
We had a couple of things. We've been working on the exhibit and display policy, and there's still more work that needs to be done on it, so we haven't been able to approve it yet. The Library Board did approve the 2023 budget, which the council approved also, so yay. And there was one other thing. We also approved the Dane County Library Service contract.
All right, thank you. Commissioner on Aging All.
Our meeting was canceled in November. We're expecting to have our next meeting here in December.
All right. RCC, Gabriella's not here, and TTC, she's not here. CETA.
Next meeting is December 1st.
All right. Ag and Rural Affairs.
We did not meet in November. We will meet December 20th.
All right. EMS.
No report.
All right. Bike Committee.
Our December meeting was canceled. Our next meeting is going to be February 6th, and that's mainly because Phil is in the second part of his parental leave.
All right. Tree Advisory.
No report. Our next meeting is February 2023.
All right. Landmarks Preservation.
No report.
All right. Housing Advisory.
No report since last meeting.
All right. Healthy Neighborhoods.
No report.
All right. Going right along. Anything else on finance, Randy?
No, nothing else.
All right. Personnel. I think, Joe, are you giving a report on that, or is there nothing to report?
There's no report for today.
All right. Public safety, anything else, Dave?
Just we approved 5 routine licenses, and they were all new, 4 for Quick Trip and 1 for Baroque's.
All right. Go on to new business. Looks like Public Works is the first one, Dave.
So I'll move approval, resolution R19522, approving maintenance services for well number 5.
Second.
Signed by Jay. The Public Works approve.
Public Works approved.
The Finance approve.
Finance approved.
All right, Dave, what's this about?
So well number 5, well, when it was built at that time, it's approximately 700 feet deep. They, part of the drilling process, they detonated, they did explosions down there to try to crack the rock. I don't think you really call it fracking, but to crack the rock so that you would get more water infiltrating into the well. And this is a practice that's no longer done, with the exception of some real extreme, granite type wells. But we did it, and it produces, you get sand coming in because of those fractures. So every so often, we're probably on an accelerated schedule on that well. We have to pull the well or pull the pump, look at the impeller, replace parts. There's a structure in there that it kind of baffles when the well comes on itself. It can causes disturbance that causes the sand to get pumped up, and there's a separate structure in there with baffles that prevents that from happening. That needs to be maintained, and also our capacity has dropped. So we want to do something basically where they they force air down there to knock the sand out to the bottom of the well where we can scoop it out, increase the capacity. So it's two parts. It's kind of the open up these veins a little bit with air blasting and maintaining the well. And the company, there were 3 bidders. We are not selecting the low bid on this. We're selecting the middle bid, which was approximately $141,000. They have done all the work on this well since 2005, and that's who we'd prefer to have it done. Our capacity has decreased on this while we had the other wells down. We think we worked it harder and pulled more sand in there. So when we did similar work in 2005, we upped our capacity a fair amount, and this will be the same company doing that work.
All right, any questions at all? Seeing none, we can go ahead and vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, nay. All right, that is approved. And then last item, does someone want to do a motion for this? And I can speak to it.
Mr. Mayor, I'll move Resolution R218-22, modifying the prior declaration allowing members of the Common Council and other bodies to appear telephonically or via the internet.
Second.
Seconded by Randy. So this is, we've been doing these extensions on you can appear remotely, you can appear remotely. And so I think it's just at the point where we should decide, do we want people to essentially forever be able to appear remotely or not? This here, as it is right now, it's written, it's so that members of the public can do remote, staff can, but to vote and count towards quorum, you would have to be in person. Now, if we don't want to do that, that's fine. We can vote this down. We actually did reach out to a number of municipalities, and it's kind of all over the board. Some people are saying, yep, you do need to come back now. Some people are saying you can be anywhere you want. It can be in person, hybrid. You can be online. Some people said you can only be online twice in a year. So there's a wide range of things that people are doing. Some people are still saying, for now you can do it, but we don't know in the future. So it's really, I guess at this point, it's kind of, I don't want to say it's a Wild West, but it's kind of all over the board, and we can kind of decide what we want. I think we should definitely allow members of the public and staff to be online. If we want members of not only council, but all the committees to count towards quorum online, we can vote this down, and I'll bring an extension next week, and we'll do an ordinance change, because then it's really an ordinance change at that point in time, and we can do that, and no big deal. We'll just do the extension and work on the ordinance, but it's really kind of up to, I don't really care one way or the other. I just don't want to keep doing 3-month or 6-month extensions. We should just decide what we want to do, and we can change it in a year or two if other things change, but that's kind of where we're at right now, is that this right here says to count towards quorum and vote, you have to be in person, but if we don't want to do that, that's fine too, and we can change it from there, and we'll have more to talk about and when we do the ordinance change. So I have Joe and then Julia.
Yeah, I've expressed this at previous meetings, but I'm opposed to it, just for the simple fact that it's not necessary. I think just given where we've been at with the pandemic, where we're at with technology, there's enough comfort and capacity to be able to contribute from wherever you are. I mean, I've done it, Jim's done it, Dave's done it. Almost everybody here has done it at some point because of either work or kids or being sick or whatever. And, if you're online, right, you're still contributing. And there shouldn't necessarily be a preclusion from participating. The other thing that I just want to hone in on, and I think I've said this before, is if we want to be an inclusive city and we want to think about, who's able to participate and potentially run for this office, we should consider that because, people have children, people have sick relatives, people have a lot of circumstances that may prevent them at times from being able to participate in this type of way, but they still have a lot to bring to the table and are just as capable of being able to fill the role as any of us who can, drive over here and make it to every single meeting. So,
Julia.
Yeah, so I'm going to echo what you mentioned and then add something that, I agree with Joe that if we want to be more inclusive as a city, this is, I'm going to oppose to this because I think we need to offer other channels where people can participate, especially where people with disabilities, members, that they can participate online. And also we need to consider we are a city where we don't have a great public transportation, so people cannot come here, to the people that they cannot drive here, they cannot participate being as a member. And also, we need to think about how to be more inclusive as a city, how to be more accessible. So, and I think providing the online option, we are open the door to more members' engagement and more public to be engaged in our public meetings. And also we have to remember that everything that we do here is already posted on the next day online to different channels. So we are still being a transparent community, so I'm going to oppose that. I would like to see this more like a permanent thing to have it online.
That's what we do. Yep. Rainey.
Yeah, I'm gonna echo what Alder Maldonado and Arado Frada has stated. I think one point that I'd like to add is we seem to have an issue of trying to fulfill committee assignments, and I think if we remove or if we place a restriction on that you have to be here in chambers or in a committee room for that particular assignment, I think we're just going to narrow that pool of candidates. So I'm opposed to the resolution as well.
Yeah, I think I agree with what everyone said so far. I think our current way of doing things is working. I know, for example, the library board hasn't had anybody meeting in person at all since the pandemic started. All the meetings have been virtual, which is fine. I mean, it works. So when you have a system that works, I don't think there's a reason to change it unless you're having some kind of problem, which we don't seem to be having. But the only question I have is it seemed to me that one of the concerns that we had last year was that there was some issue with state statute regarding making virtual attendance permanent. So has the city attorney addressed that? I didn't see any notes about that in the resolution.
I think that you can correct me. I believe she's still concerned about that. I think if you read it the way it is now, because things have changed a lot since COVID started, I think that she thinks the likelihood is pretty low that anyone would say, oh, you did this wrong because you weren't in person, and that very well could change in statute because we just kind of realized that. Chad, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the concern still exists from the city attorney is the potential for a legal challenge does exist as state laws are currently written. Obviously, through the pandemic, it doesn't appear as though any challenges have been issued. She and I have talked, and as time, I guess continues on, and we kind of have settled into the new norm. There could be a decision that's made by a body, that's appearing remotely or telephonically that does ultimately get challenged somewhere in the state, whether it's if Fitchburg changes its ordinances, whether it's Fitchburg or some other municipality. So I think it's a matter of an informed decision that the council would be making, that there is still a possibility that if we make permanent changes that there could be a challenge at some point down the road. And, you make that calculated assessment of risk versus reward. So, yeah.
And I'll say, it looks like this is going to fail, which is great. We'll bring the ordinance forward, and we'll do an extension next week, or next meeting, I should say. The one thing, though, and that, feel free to chime in on this, that I do think we should have in the ordinance is that if we go into closed session, you can't be online. If we go into closed session, you have to be in person. We had that problem 2 years ago with someone we were in a closed session, they had other people listening in that weren't supposed to be. So that'd probably be the one thing that I would put in here. I don't know if Chad said.
Yeah, if I'm sorry, Aaron, to interrupt, but in addition to the closed session that we had talked about earlier, the city attorney also talked about any quasi judicial proceeding, an appeal of a plan commission decision or a revocation of an alcohol license or those sorts of things where this body would be acting in a quasi judicial manner. Would also require in-person appearance. And then one other thing that we talked about collectively as a council within the last year is if you do appear remotely, the expectation that your camera is on during the time in which you're remote, unless you obviously need to maybe take a restroom break or those sorts of things. But those are some things that we may want to consider in the draft ordinance for implementation.
Joe?
Yeah, going back to the state challenging, I think the most concrete example that I can remember is the state rep for actually Fitchburg has a disability and had to, couldn't be in sort of when I think it was budgets or some sort of like really time when the legislature had to be in for a really long time and was unable to do that. He was blocked by his peers from doing that. So I think when it comes to like something that's on the radar of the state where it gets a lot more contentious, that's probably more likely to be noticed than, a smaller municipality in the city, unless people want to get real petty.
You never know. All right, anything else? All right, we can go ahead and vote. All in favor, say aye. And anyone opposed, nay?
Nay.
All right, that fails. We'll bring our ordinance forward in the new year, but an extension next meeting. All right, mayor's reports. I think the only thing is just remember that we only have one meeting in December. That's on the 13th. We canceled the second one. And we also do not have committee of the whole either tomorrow or next month. So please don't come in tomorrow. You'll be pretty lonely if you're here by yourself. Other than that, just, Burby Derby, I'll be there doing the 5K. Hope to see you there and have a great Thanksgiving. And then all the reports, it is District 2, I believe, starts. Julia. Yeah.
Have anything to report specifically on my district, but I want to say happy Thanksgiving to all of you. Feliz Día de Acción de Gracia to the Latino community here in Fitchburg. And also, it's the World Cup this month. So I don't know you're watching the World Cup. It's great. And then I'm going to be there in the Derby, so I want to see you. I don't know in which wave I am, but,
All right, sounds good. All right, Jay.
Aaron,
Yes.
I had nothing to say.
All right.
Really?
Sounds good. Shannon, do you have anything to say?
Nope.
All right, Jim.
Yeah, just a little bit. Had a meeting with Chief Morales, and one thing we talked about was the number of officers that were going to be leaving. One of the things he said that we will lose both of our African-American officers from the department. We did have a person that was in training, but that did not work out. And the reason I bring that up, because, thank goodness nothing bad has happened for Fitchburg, but when bad things do happen, people look at demographics. And I just think it's important that, we really promote our equitable hiring tool that we use and the amount of time that we do spend looking at the way we recruit and also the way that we test. Being part of the PFC before council, I thought that was very important, and those numbers are looked at. And so when, something bad happens, not that we're not trying. Not many people are applying to be police officers. You look across the country, look in the county, you're just not getting the applications. When I applied for Madison, it was over 1,800 applications for 24 spots. If they get a couple of hundred now for 50 spots, you're doing well. And as far as Fitchburg is doing the same thing. So the numbers aren't there, and historically, African Americans really don't apply for the police department. We had a presentation when I was on the management team of a prominent Madisonian, African-American, who basically said, I tell people not to join the police department, I tell them to join the fire department. So that's what's out there, and that's what's really kind of hurts us in a little bit. But I would say that if anybody know any people of color or whatever that want to be police officers, please let them apply. I will put that out there. So I actually think it's important that, and I talked to Randy about this, about equitable tools and everything, that maybe we should have a presentation at the committee of the whole so that we're all on the same page about our hiring and what we do. And, you know, while we're on the equity, I was glad people were talking about equity and inclusion, because my segue to that was, and I talked to Chad about this, I think we should be looking at things with equity lens in all our operations that we do. And a lot of times when I talk about process, that's the process that I talk about. Just talking about the location of a police department, where you look at all your stakeholders, as far as suspects, victims, confidential informants, other agencies, placing a police department, I can see where people may not want it placed in their community, and where people will say, I don't want to go to a police department where there's a lot of people around. We have had that experience. So talking about an equity analysis, I mean, just for the location, you know, that would be perfect. And, you know, when I talk about equity, I'm not talking about, you could use these equity tools everywhere in any, you know, operational decision. I was responsible for bringing that to the department and the management team. And we actually used it for our promotional processes, our position descriptions. Actually, what we're going to name our Citizens Academy, rename it, because actually, if you look on the website, we did an equity analysis, and it's now called the Community Academy, Police Academy, because you don't want people thinking that you have to be a citizen to partake in that. So the goal is to increase participation and decrease the barriers for all. So I think that's something that the city, talked to Chad about it also, that we should formalize it instead of just talking about it, you know, here and there. Just formalize it as a way that we do business, that when we make these decisions, we take that intentional pause and we actually do analysis where we bring in all the stakeholders that we could think of. Because all the ones that I've been involved in, you'd be surprised at what comes up that you don't even think about. I mean, we did one for playground equipment in Birmingham Park, and where city wanted to place it was too far from where the people said, we basically, you know, tend to our gardens right here, we want our kids where we can watch it. So they say, if you put it over there, we won't even use it. You know, when we did the Midtown building on Mineral Point Road, we did an equity analysis, and people told us, where are we going to put our kids if you want us to come to, you know, community meetings? So I think it's a very valuable tools, and I have sent out some tools, equity analysis tools, to everyone. Actually, I sent out the equity analysis for the Madison Metro, you know, because people were upset saying that, you know, we weren't really thinking about, people weren't being thought about. So I think it's something that we should move forward with and basically make equity analysis basic part of our DNA. Besides that, let Randy talk about Fitchburg Farms.
All right. Randy, go ahead. Wow, he just threw you on the bus.
Hand that off. Actually, I want to circle back to the polling delay. And first of all, I want to thank City Administrator Chad Brecklin and City Clerk Tracy Oldenburg. When the lines became very long, especially in districts 3 and 4, I received a number of calls and texts from residents, and I mean a number of them. And I also received some calls from elected officials, and not elected officials within this chamber. And there was a lot of concern. And had some good conversations with Chad Brecklin that evening. And but I think more importantly, we had better conversations the next day as to why those lines were long, and the solutions that he offered and that Tracy offered. And so I'm not going to go into those specifics. I think he's already outlined a number of those solutions to the issue. But I'm anxious or interested in seeing what does develop for after the spring election as to how to correct the problem. So, again, thank you, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Dave.
I think you're aware about a month ago, there was a large underage drinking party in Jamestown, and a few weeks ago, we had a neighborhood meeting where we had 20 residents come, the police department, the chief was there, Ned was there, Logan, and Alder Udell also. And we listened to the complaints of the residents about what happened. The chief outlined why our response was what it was, and I think people had a better understanding. Action item yet, the chief, myself, Alder Maldonado want to meet with the homeowner to express our concerns and make sure that if she needs help, we can help her, but that we communicate that this cannot or will not ever happen again, because it was a dangerous situation. So that's all I had to report.
All right, thank you. Joe?
Yeah, just following up on voting. I did stop by the polling place a couple of times, and I was just really impressed by the poll workers and the election inspectors. Everything was just a really smooth process, and it was great to see, just kind of a full representation of the district, showing up folks that were differently abled, folks. I saw a lot of young adults, which was really good. So I want to kind of tip my hat to them for, their work, as well as for, the voters for showing up. The other thing outside of a district, just wanted to remind people to get their booster shot, the COVID-19 booster shot, and they are available at Fitchburg Family Pharmacy. I'm getting mine next week. That's all I've got.
All right, thank you, everyone. Next meeting is December 13th. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Moved by Jay, seconded by Randy. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 And opposed, nay. All right, we are adjourned.